Sorry guys, still getting things set up real quick. Letting some people get in here. Pretty excited about tonight's show. Guaranteed rate ball. I know it's going to be a late one. I'm going to try to get through it though. I'm going to try to watch the entire thing. But on this show, I'm going to preview that game, give you my thoughts and my opinions, and special guest, Eugene Napoleon, all-time West Virginia great, accomplished author, writer. He's done pretty much about everything. This guy is an accomplished human being, and he was a part of the 1988 West Virginia National Championship runner-up. Had Major Harris not gotten injured in that game, West Virginia would probably have a national championship. But, things happen. I'm excited to have him on the show. Very, very, very excited. I want to keep up with these other games that are going on as well. Give me 1 second, guys, because last time I checked, the Red Raiders were beating Mississippi State, and they still are, but it's 10-7. Breaking news. John Madden has died at age 85. That, oh my gosh. Oh, man. Oh, man. Let me see something real quick. I'm trying to figure out... it doesn't give calls. Okay. That's still sad. John Madden is no longer with us. That's man, he was a big part of my childhood growing up, all that stuff. So yeah, that's sad news. And I just now saw that on ESPN, so that's breaking news. AutoZone Liberty Ball going on. Texas Tech does still hold the lead 10-7. 12 minutes left in the second quarter. And it looks like Texas Tech just punted. And Mississippi State has it on their own 26. So we'll try to keep up with that as well. But this show, we're going to try to preview the West Virginia-Minnesota Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Coming up 10-15. It's a late one, guys. It is a late one. So this might be an all-nighter, to be honest with you. We'll try to get you a post-game tomorrow, do an analysis, depending on what went right, what went wrong, stuff like that. We'll figure it out. And on this show, we're gonna have Eugene call in here in about 5 minutes or so. So I'm excited to have him on. This is a tough matchup for West Virginia, though. I'm not gonna lie. This is a very tough matchup. By the way, yesterday I had a video demonetized because it said somebody had a copyright put on it. I don't know why. I looked at everything I had on that video, and I've used it before, so I'm trying to figure out why that was hit with the copyright strike. I'm not in trouble or anything. It wasn't monetized, so we lost some money yesterday. So that's why I put out a double video yesterday. Today, just an active day. Sometimes when the day's active, I put out multiple videos. If you'd like to support the channel financially, monetarily, we have the PayPal link in the chat room. All that 100% goes to Golden Blue Dude. I have quit my part-time job, but the bills don't stop. Even though I have quit that, and I do this as my profession. I'm doing this full-time. Even though that's the case, bills don't stop, expenses keep coming. So any support that I get from my subscribers, I greatly appreciate. You can also consider hitting that $sign down in the bottom right corner for a super chat. Like I said, every little bit helps. I appreciate it. Bills don't stop even when you go full-time on YouTube. So any little bit is greatly, greatly appreciated. And of course, Joey will be busy in the chat section with polls. I love it. Very active live show. Try to keep you engaged. First poll, who do you think will win the West Virginia-Minnesota game tonight? Straightforward. If I had to vote, and I'm a West Virginia fan, I have to go with Minnesota. This is a very, very tough matchup. One of the arguments that I was hearing from West Virginia fans was that don't let the record fool you. West Virginia 6-6, Minnesota 8-4. We had a tougher schedule. That's not the case, actually. West Virginia's strength of schedule was 47, and Minnesota's was 26. So Minnesota actually had a little bit tougher of a schedule. So and the things that they like to do are the things that we're bad at defending, like against the run. They're really good at running the ball. not great at passing. Well, we're good at defending the pass, not great against the run. They have a great defense. They're great at getting pressure on the quarterback. Our offensive line, not good at protecting Jarrett Doege. And don't forget, Leddie Brown is opting out. So we're going to have to, West Virginia's going to have to get creative to win this football game. Some of the things that I mentioned is even potentially lining Garrett Green back, either on the wing or as a straight running back. You might have to check him in as a running back from time to time just to help with the running game. Because we're going to need it. Our running back stable, not that thick. I mean, Tony Mathis has done a good job over the past few games, but it's very thin at running back. So we need to get creative any way possible, using the screen passes, toss sweeps, any of that stuff to have an extension of the run game to keep that defense honest. We need it because Jarrett Doege is not good under pressure. If we want to succeed in this football game, we're going to have to be able to run the ball at somewhat. We have to establish the running game somehow, some way. We don't have to be fantastic, amazing, but we have to establish it to keep them honest. And if we can keep Minnesota's front seven off of Jarrett Doege and give him time, he's actually a decent quarterback. He's had a better year than Tanner Morgan. Jarrett Doege was 254 for 386, 65.8%. Tanner Morgan was 141 for 236, 59.7%. And Jarrett Doege threw for 1,000 yards more than Tanner Morgan. It was those dang interceptions and those sacks. Interceptions and sacks killed us. All right, so our guest is calling in, and here he is, Eugene Napoleon, for the second time, not the first time, the second time on Golden Blue Dude. How was your holiday week so far?
It was awesome, man. It was awesome, and it's good to be back on the show. What's going on with you? How's your family?
Oh, we're good, man. We had a busy week. I added up the miles that I drove for meeting people, bouncing here and there. Over 22 hours worth of driving this week, so it's been busy, crazy, but family time is always awesome, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. 100%.
All right, man. How are you feeling about tonight's game? I'm a little, I don't know. I don't want to say pessimistic, but this is a tall order for West Virginia.
Well, first off, I can tell you this. The timing for me, a 10:15 kickoff, I was telling my wife earlier, wow, it's kind of late.
It is. It's very late.
But I'm looking at the matchup. First off, Minnesota had a great year. They're 8-4.
Yep.
I actually know their coach very well. PJ Fleck is a really good guy, really good coach, a good human being. He was in the recruiting process for my son Brandon back in 2012 when PJ was on the Rutgers staff.
Yep.
Great X's and O's guy. But the thing with him that I've always been mostly impressed with, again, he's a high character guy, so he recruits that way.
Yep. So
you know that you're going to get a well-coached, well-rounded team when you play Minnesota. So it's going to be an interesting game. I think, we're going to have to definitely control the clock, and it sounds, crazy, but you cannot have our defense on the field all game long. That's not going to be a recipe for success against a team like this who runs the ball so well.
Yeah.
We're going to have to make Tanner Morgan throw the football, and we're going to have to make him beat us with his arm. You can't give Minnesota the ball and let them run, for 200 yards, on the ground. That's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Before we go any further, thank you, Andre King. $5 super chat. That's what I'm talking about. Like I said earlier, even though I've quit my job and do this full time, the bills don't stop. So I appreciate every little bit. But I agree with you 100%. And the thing is, and West Virginia is not necessarily known for this, we need to get off to a fast start. If you look at Minnesota under PJ Fleck, when they get off to a fast start, they're almost unbeatable. So West Virginia needs to get off to a fast start. Don't get behind the sticks early. That is of major importance for West Virginia. Don't get behind the sticks and get off to a fast start. Otherwise, it could be a very, very long night for West Virginia, especially with our leading rusher, Leddie Brown, opting out. Now, we all know he didn't have a great season, but that wasn't necessarily his fault. It was the offensive line. That's another thing that I have an issue with in this game. It's our weakness versus their strength. Their strength is at front seven on that defense. Their weakness on defense is the secondary. So if we can somehow keep those front seven off Jarrett Doege, he could actually pick that secondary apart. How are you feeling about that matchup, our offensive line against their front seven?
I was just getting ready to allude to that point because that's a very good, coach's point, and it's a very good speaking point. First off, how do you, keep that type of front seven, off of your quarterback? Well, it's the extension part of the run game, screen.
Yep.
You're going to have to screen those guys to death and make them run sideline to sideline, tire them out a little bit. But putting together a decent run, screen, middle range passing game against a defense like this definitely helps.
Yep.
And you're 100% right. We cannot afford to get behind the sticks and make it second and long and third and long where it's obvious passing downs. That's going to be a problem. So if we can avoid that, I think we have a pretty good chance. Here's the thing that's interesting about, West Virginia and what I've seen even during my playing days there. The funny thing about WVU has always been this: when everybody counts us out, we tend to ball our backs and play well.
That's true. That is very true. The last big one that I remember was the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. Just like Owen Schmidt said, there was only one state that voted blue for West Virginia, and that was the state of West Virginia. Everybody else voted for Oklahoma.
That's right. And let me tell you something. Even that game was a game, it was literally, it wasn't so much a chess match for Oklahoma as much as it was a chess match for us.
Yes.
Stu went into that game and did exactly what you had to do. We started off so fast and never took the pedal off the metal when it came to doing the tempo of that offense was clicking.
Yeah.
And it really helped the defense to click because we got in rhythm. Then the special teams got in rhythm. And before you know it, we were clicking on all cylinders.
Yep, exactly. I think a key to this game. I think a key to this game is Neil Brown is going to have to break some tendencies because we're so thin at the running game. I agree with you. We need some screenplays in there. I actually think we need to throw some toss sweeps in there and get creative, man. This is the last game of the year. Hold nothing back. Line Garrett Green back up there at running back behind Jarrett Doege. Show him something different. Make him freak out. Realize they don't know what they're seeing. You're going to have to stress them out because that defense is the strength of Minnesota. They're a worse offensive team than we are, but they are a top 10 defense. So if you can make them think instead of react, that's how you can beat the defense. Getting them to think, not react. Because whenever a defense starts reacting, they're going to tee off on you.
Well, you better believe it. I also think we have enough, and I do mean this, not saying it facetiously, we have enough on offense to match their defense if we break tendencies.
Yep.
Because what typically happens, you go into these bowl games like any matchup. These kids are studying, they're looking over the play sheets, they're looking over the calls, they're looking over the things that you have to be prepared to go in to play at any game, but especially a bowl game with a few extra, weeks to really shore yourself up offense, defense, and special teams wise. So if you break tendencies, you have a chance, and the teams that if you look at what goes on in bowl games, the teams that do that, the easiest, they transition to that the easiest. Usually the teams that typically win their games.
Yep.
Because third down, West Virginia usually does this. Second and long, they do this. Third and two, they typically do this. Well, if you change that tendency, you, like you just said, and it's true, you throw the defensive coordinator out of whack, which is like, well, time out.
Yep.
They're lining up in this formation, but they normally line up in this because here's what tendency-wise, here's what, they typically do in this particular situation down in distance. We have to break that trend, and if we do that, we have a good chance of being very successful tonight.
Yeah, because that Minnesota defense is extremely smart. So you have to figure out ways to confuse them because if If you start doing your tendencies and all they have to do is react, then you're going to have a long day. And one of the things that
you're playing right into their hand, exactly.
exactly, and one of the things that I do think is in the favor of West Virginia is the fact that Minnesota isn't a very good offensive team. So West Virginia isn't going to have to put up 30 points to beat Minnesota. The problem is we will have to score points. Not a lot of them, but we're going to have to score points. So that's what we were talking about as far as making the defense think. You don't want Minnesota to be able to run the ball, run clock, and wear our defense out and be able to win this game in the third and fourth quarters, because that's what's going to happen if Minnesota. I'm not talking about scoring. I'm talking about them moving the chains and keeping our defense on the field for 7-8 minutes. Even if they don't score, that's going to work in their favor come third and fourth quarter.
Absolutely. Well, think about it this way. If you can run clock and let's say score 10 points, and you go in at the half and let's say it's 10-3, but you ran the clock and you tired the defense out for the first 2 quarters. Usually, if you are if you're not a second half football team, here's where you run into a problem, especially if that opposing team gets the ball back to start the second half. Again, you're talking about another 6 to 7 minute drive.
Yep, exactly.
You don't have to score a whole bunch of points. You can win that game 10-3 if that's the tempo of the game. This is why West Virginia, we have to get in front of that, and we have to change tendencies, and we have to flip the field quite a bit, and I think we can do that because, again, you're 100% right. They're not that strong of an offensive team. Although Tanner Morgan is a fully capable quarterback, it's just that they don't run the style of offense where they're going to put up 42 to 45 points.
Yeah.
They haven't been that explosive like that all year. Now, I don't know if it's been due to injuries and things of that nature, but I haven't seen Minnesota become a juggernaut on offense.
Right.
I have seen them control the clock, run the football very well, very capable, almost 20 yards a game, very capable on the ground. This is why I think we need to make Tanner Morgan beat us, with his arm.
Yeah, exactly. And I've mentioned we don't have to necessarily be super successful between the tackles, but that's where, throwing screenplays, toss sweeps, counters, just different stuff like that to, get 3 or 4 yards, move the chains, chew some clock, and wear their defense out. Our game plan should be to wear Minnesota's defense out. We don't need to be a quick scoring, 2-minute offense like we were under Dana Holgorsen. We need to just be able to move the ball and chew some clock. So, it depends on, I think whoever does that the best is going to win this game. Whoever controls the ball and chews the clock, not put up a ton of points. That's not the point of this particular game. The point of this game is who can wear the other's defense out first. I think that's who will win this game.
I agree 100%, and that's a real good call. The analysis of this is exactly that. I think and that comes down to really who controls the line of scrimmage. Who can make this game, third and short, second and short, third and short down. You shrink the playbook a little bit because that means you're really capitalizing with punching them in the mouth up front, and you're controlling the line of scrimmage, which means you're going to be able to control, getting your first downs and moving the chains. If we can do that, I think we'll be able to play with anybody. Any team that does that successfully has a chance to play with anybody in the country. I've seen that today watching these earlier bowl games. It's interesting how the teams who control the line of scrimmage typically are the teams that win these games.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why in this particular game, at least being a little successful at the running game, is because their secondary is a weakness for them. So if we can, make those linebackers, respect the run game and make him scoot up somewhat, open up that back end, we can take some shots. And Deggy, I know he's not known for taking shots. It's not because he's not capable. It's because he hasn't had the time. That offensive line has not given him time for those routes to develop and for him to throw the deep ball. So our offensive line needs to have solid play. We need to have at least a decent running game. And then that way, Deggy will be able to pick that secondary apart, because that's not the elite part of Minnesota's defense. The front seven is. So that's the big battle that I'm going to be watching. making them respect the run game, and then maybe, just maybe, he can have enough time to take some shots downfield.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. I'm looking forward to it. I think we can do that. I really do, because again, with a successful run game, and again, the extension, as I talked about earlier, the screen game, is a very important part of that, because it'll get Deggy, get him loose, get him feeling really good about completing some easy passes, and before you know it, you got your linebackers creeping up a little bit, you got your safety creeping up a little bit, and you could take a few shots down the field. And if we can do that successfully, you don't have to hit, like you said, a whole ton of them, but if you hit one or two of them, it's just enough to keep that defensive secondary honest.
Exactly. And if you look at our wide receiving core, we have wide receivers that are capable to make that secondary pay. I mean, we have Winston Wright Jr., Bryce Ford Wheaton, Sam James, Sean Ryan, Isaiah Easdale, which he's actually a good punt returner as well, besides that one muff punt. He better not do that in this game. Caden Prather, he's starting to find his footing. That dude is a superstar in the making. I'm really hoping to see Daggy target Caden Prather more on this game. And then, of course, Sam Brown. So we have a really deep wide receiving core. It's just our running game might suffer because of Leddie Brown opting out. And speaking of Leddie Brown, what's your take on him opting out of the guaranteed rate bowl?
Two things. First off, I've always have a lot of respect for this young man. I think he's a very, very talented young man. At the end of the day, I understand. I look at it from both ends of the spectrum. In most cases, a coach is going to come to you, a senior. You're preparing for the next level. I've seen and heard some coaches do this with their star players and say, "Listen, you go ahead and do what you got to do. We're good. You understand? You contributed enough. We're good." I don't know if that was this case. I'm just saying in general. For me personally, this is my personal take on it. I like to finish what I start. Now, that's me personally. That's Eugene Napoleon personally. I'm not taking a shot at Leddie or anybody else.
Right.
If I started the season, I want to finish the season. If we have 11 games or 12 games and we're in a bowl game, I want to finish the bowl game. That's me personally.
Yeah.
Now, I do understand those individuals who say, I don't want to, I've been nicked up pretty much half the season. I don't want to further injure myself. I'm going to sit this one out, root for my teammates, and I'm hoping they understand that. I can understand that perspective too.
Right.
But for me, I'm going to want to play the last game with my teammates.
Yeah. Hold on real quick. Let me talk to one of my mods. Joey, talk to Frickstrom real quick. She wants to be a mod real quick. I don't know for how long. So y'all get that straightened out real quick. So whenever I saw that Leddie was opting out, it wasn't – a lot of West Virginia fans were like, well, it's probably because he thinks the guaranteed rate ball is not a big ball and he doesn't want to risk it because of that. I don't think that's the case at all. I think Leddie Brown is on the fringe. He's not a first rounder, probably not even a second rounder, but he's on the fringe of being able to be taken in that third and fourth round. And you couple that with the fact that our offensive line has been bad this year, his particular risk for having an injury in the guaranteed rate ball is much higher than, your typical running back who has, a good, solid offensive line. So I think, to me, personally, I think that's the reason why he opted out is because he knows he's on that fringe, and one little thing, he's off the board, and his risk is higher because our offensive line was no good this year.
That's an interesting perspective. I'm going to dive in on that a little bit as well. It's funny that you say that. A lot of people don't really understand when you send your paperwork into the NFL and the scouting department, they're rating where you are as whatever position it is. In this case, we're talking about Leddie Brown. We're talking about the running back position. And they give you what your score is of where they project you. And all it is a projection. Because every year a guy he can be projected really high, and then all of a sudden you go in the Senior Bowl or one of these, scouting situations, and you don't look as good. You don't run as fast. You don't catch the ball as well. You don't run as good of routes, which means you're not going to be effective at the next level in the passing game. All of that stuff contributes into your score, right?
Right.
Then all of a sudden, you find yourself maybe rated as a bona fide first rounder, you go and don't do as well in those workouts, and now you drop to second, third, fourth rounder.
Right.
There's a lot of money that you lost there.
Exactly.
So in his case, here's what I think about Leddie. Leddie's skill set will allow him to be a three down back at the next level. And what I mean by that is because he's developed enough in the passing game where he can help you in the passing game. For me, his only knock would be, how is he going to do at the run fit in the blocking game at the pro level?
Right.
That's a big question mark because most of these offensive coordinators, most of these head coaches, most of these quarterbacks, they're going to want to make sure that their backs can block.
Yep.
Because if you're not going out in the route tree and the passing game at the NFL level, you got to stay in there and block. So
right.
At the end of the day, that's something for me I'm looking to see. I think he's fully capable, to be honest with you. I think Leddie can potentially have a really, really good NFL career. I wish that young man nothing but the very best. I've watched him progress and get nothing but better since he's been at West Virginia over the years, and I really do wish him the best. I mean, I think he's a great kid. I think his upside can be tremendous. I just praise the kid to the highest because here's the difference, and you and I talked about this before by way of text messaging. What people don't understand, when you're in a system and you're not, and you're the 3-back, 4-back system.
Yep.
It's hard to be that guy when you're getting
Hold on 1 second.
You're splitting that.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I have Eugene Napoleon as a guest on. I'm not doing a call in tonight. Maybe later on in the show because he has to bounce to another show. So after he's gone, we'll do a call in. Sorry, somebody was trying to call in. Sorry about that.
I got you. So with Leddie, that's a situation where, thank God, you're not part of. He wasn't part of that 4 or 5-headed monster.
Yep.
You got all these backs, so guess what? He took the brunt of the carries this year.
Yep, exactly.
So you get a little bit nicked up. Now, I'll tell you something now. If you had and again, this is not a shot at Deggy, it's just not part of his skill set. But if he were a quarterback that ran the ball as well, as an extra ball carrier, if Leddie had 2 or 3 other backs that they're, basically you're carouseling this thing and you're keeping everybody fresh, that's a totally different set of circumstances.
Yeah.
But when you're the bell cow and you're the guy that's carrying that rock, 15, 16, 17, 18 times a game, and somewhere between 70 to 75% of the carries is going through you, that's a totally different thing too, and people have to understand that.
I completely agree with that. I just saw a comment in the comment section. William Huffman says, and he's talking to you.
I'm hoping that this is a great opportunity. Now, you know what this also is a great opportunity for? For the younger backs to step up and bow their necks and say, next guy up, this is my turn. This is my time to shine. I'm going to have a big game. Whenever I'm called upon, I'm going to carry this rock and do what I need to do to get us to a victory.
Yeah. Hey, I got a comment for you. This is from William Huffman. He's talking to you. He says, thanks for the awesome run in the second half versus Penn State, 1988.
The phone just went out a little bit. I'm sorry.
William Huffman, a person in the comments.
Yeah.
He has a statement for you. He said, thanks for the awesome run in the second half versus Penn State in 1988.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Does that make you remember that running it, what was happening when somebody says something like that?
Absolutely. I remember the play prior to that. We ran it to the other side, and it's funny, the linebacker who I played against in high school, played at North Bergen High School. We didn't like each other in high school, and we certainly didn't like each other in college.
Love it.
He overran the play the first time.
Right.
And it made me realize that, okay, he's gonna move out of there again. And it just so happened we called the same play, opposite side. And I took a hard lead step knowing he was going to fly out of there, and sure enough, he did. So my pre-snap read in my head was, I'm going to take a hard jab step that way, read his action, and I'm going to react off of it. So, oh yeah, I remember that run like it was yesterday.
Yeah, it's crazy whenever you talk to former athletes, either for college football or the NFL, you mention a specific play. Not only do y'all remember the actual play, but y'all remember the play before, you remember the pre-snap, you remember the reaction you actually had planned before you made the reaction. It's crazy that y'all can remember in detail, all the events that surrounded that play. That's amazing.
Yeah, I tell you, because you're living in the moment.
Yes.
And you don't forget that. It's like muscle memory when you lift weights and all those things. You don't forget that. You're living in the moment. And to be honest with you, that game, the entire game, was such a special event. I think anybody from A.B. Brown to Andre Johnson to Major Harris to Grandis Bell to everybody on the defensive side of that ball can remember those magical plays. Whenever you beat Penn State, especially the way we beat them that year, and especially on national television, you remember the whole game pretty much because it was that magical of a moment and that magical of a game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to ask you real quick, since you mentioned that play, is that the play that you remember the most as far as your career at West Virginia? Did he nail it, or is there another play that you remember even more?
You're not going to believe this, but I'm going to tell you something. It was actually a play my sophomore year at West Virginia against Pittsburgh.
Ah, okay.
And it was a run. We were actually third and 8. And we ran a counter back into the boundary, and I broke one for about 19 yards.
Ah, okay.
And I'll never forget that play because in my mind, here's what I'm thinking the whole time, that Pittsburgh, again, obviously the backyard brawl, and those are memorable games.
Exactly.
You want to play so well, and you want to be a crucial part of whatever you need to do. I don't care if it's returning kicks, returning punts, in my case, being a tailback. You want to play, every time you get a chance to touch the ball, you want to make it memorable. So when you have a third and 8 and you break one for 18, 19, 20 yards to move the chains and get you into the red zone, those are the things you remember because those are crucial points in the game where you made a big play to help your team move the ball. Touchdowns are great, but I was one of those guys that I really enjoyed all of it.
Right.
I didn't care if it was 3rd and 2 and I got 5 yards.
Exactly. And it's against Pitt.
You understand that in that cog of a machine that we had, and God knows what a hell of a machine it was, man.
Yes.
At every level, from the AFL and playing in Tampa Bay and Orlando and playing in the CFL, Saskatchewan, my years at West Virginia were probably more special to me than playing even at the professional level.
Wow. I have this subscriber.
Putting that flying WV on, that's how special that was to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I have a subscriber. His name is Anthony Zappin. He's actually a West Virginia fan, but he loves to do a super chat and donates, and I appreciate it. But he makes me say "Let's go Herd" every time he posts a super chat. In the comment section, he writes "Let's go Herd," and I have to read it. So those words coming out of my mouth, "Let's go Herd," that's not me. That's Anthony Zappin making me say that. Just so we're clear.
I love it.
Every time. He knows it's all good, and that's why he does it. And he knows I'm going to say it every stinking time. That's a fact. Now that you explained it, it kind of doesn't surprise me that you remember that particular play the most because it's against an arch rival Pitt, and of course you're going to remember a play that you made a significant difference in that game. And you did. That was a big play, and it was against.
My phone, it went out again.
All right, hold on. Let me make sure I'm good on bars.
There it is. That's perfect. I can hear you.
All right, we're good. Let me move the mic that way we don't. All right. We also have Friction Vixen, good subscriber there. Thank you for the $5 super chat. She says, Jeff Webster, GBD has the polls link. He should post it for you, I hope, and go West Virginia for y'all on the money line. So we have people actually picking West Virginia on the money line because they are not believing the hype against Minnesota. And, I want that to be true. I really do. But like we've talked about earlier, in order for West Virginia to beat Minnesota, we have to break our trends. And that's why I don't fully 100%. I'm not convinced that we're going to win this game because I'm not convinced that Neil Brown's going to do that. But if he proves me wrong and does break the trend, then we're good to go. Also, John Park with the $5 Super Chat. Thanks, sir. He says, Herd sucks. So there we go. We got a counter on Let's Go Herd. We got a Herd sucks. That's what I'm talking. This is a good live show. That's what I'm talking about right there. That is what I'm talking about. So what's your confidence? I know we're both high on Neil Brown. We like what he's doing. This is not a slam on the job overall that he's doing at West Virginia. But how much do you trust him in this particular game to go against the trends that he sets?
Listen, he's going to have to. That's the mark of a good coach. You do what you have to do to win the football game that you're currently playing in. So throw everything else, throw the whole season out the window. You know, we're starting over. This is post season right now. This is a bowl game. So all the trends and all the things none of that counts.
Okay.
We're starting over. So if you want to show the progression of what your offense can potentially look like, what you want your defense to look like, this is really the start of it. And I agree with you 100%. You can't go in and have the same game plan you've had over the last 12 games and expect to beat a Minnesota team, because I guarantee you this, PJ Fleck will not play the way he's played over the last 12 weeks. I guarantee you that. Yep. He's going to have wrinkles on his offense, on his defense, and in his special teams, because that's just who he is.
Right. What do you think about this comment? I want to ask you this. It's from Eric Bolden through his Super Chat. Once again, I appreciate that, and I'm going to read this directly to Eugene Napoleon. Hold on, let me get this poll down. There we go. Well, hold on. Trying to get that out of the way. Live shows. All right, there we go. I wanted to ask this question that one of my subscribers is asking me. I'm going to ask you directly. He says, I think Daggy could have an Iowa State type of game. He had a great game when we played Iowa State at home because of the Minnesota defensive scheme. That makes me raise my eyebrow. I like that comment, and I do think that's possible. But again, I think it depends on if we can be successful or at least halfway decent in the run game.
I agree. I think he's going to have Deggy plays well when he's in rhythm, like most quarterbacks. So
exactly,
it's going to be incumbent upon us to get him in rhythm early.
Right.
Make sure he completes some of those easy throws, and that's why I think the screen game has to be prevalent in this game plan. You know, to get him in rhythm early. And remember this. People think that, and it is true to a certain extent, playing the quarterback position, it is a thinking position, walking from the huddle up to the line of scrimmage. Once you call the play and you read the defense, then it becomes, when that ball is snapped, now you're reacting.
Right, exactly.
That's the reason why we have to get him into rhythm and feeling comfortable early. And if we can, that he has shown, you get him started early, you get him feeling good about completing some of the easier throws, and he can wear you out. And because their secondary is not that good, I can easily see Deggy having a big game tonight. I hope he does, because if he has a big game tonight, listen, I have a prediction of a score of this game at West Virginia 28, Minnesota 24.
I like it.
And, you know, I'm thinking if Deggy plays well, we may put up more than 28 points tonight. We have an opportunity to do just that if he plays well.
You know, I think 30 is the magic number. I like the 28-24, but I think if West Virginia does get to 30, that we will win the football game. Now, if we don't, of course we can still win, but that's what Minnesota, that's what they're good at, keeping the points down. If Daggy can get in rhythm and can start picking that defense apart and we put points up, honestly, we could stretch it. If we get in the 30s, we could win, 34-21, something like that. So the biggest question is, can we keep those guys off of him get the running game at least into respectability to where he can pick off the defense. It's not that I don't trust Deggy. I do, 100%. I don't trust Deggy when he's under pressure. He's not good at getting rid of the ball. He'll take a sack before getting rid of the ball. I don't know why. And then, if we're down and he gets pressure, he tries to force it, and that's when he gets interceptions. If we keep him comfortable in rhythm, then Minnesota will be in trouble. The question is, can we do that?
Well, I can tell you something. I'm looking forward to seeing what the first 2 to 3 series is going to look like and how that's going to be scripted. And that's going to be important as well. How we come out and start the game is going to be very, very important.
Oh, yeah.
And, oh, my God, I just got a notice. Did you get the notice about the great John Madden?
I sure did. I announced it at the beginning of the show. He was, to be honest with you, I just turned 39 on Christmas Eve, so he was a big part of my childhood as far as, watching football. I can still remember his voice, and it's weird to talk about him in the past tense now, but it just happened, so it's going to take some time to get used to saying it like that. But, man, he's the person that made watching NFL enjoyable. Now, without him, I kind of lost interest in the sports in the NFL. That's why my channel is, a college football YouTube, because I'm really not. I mean, I'm a Bengals fan. Yeah, it's been rough, and I do like watching the NFL, but I've lost interest, and it's because there's no big personalities like John Madden to keep you in. I mean, the Turkey Leg Award for Thanksgiving, that was John Madden. He was great at what he did. He will be missed.
Absolutely. Well, first off, the big personality aside, who he was who he was.
Exactly.
And you have to respect that. You got to respect the man. He was a man's man.
Yep.
So I have a great level of respect for everything this man stood for. And it's interesting, man, when you lose someone like him, you know it. It transcends not just football. It transcends every other sport, because these are the type of individuals who make the sport what they are, as you just alluded to. So it's a tremendous loss, and sending prayers out to his family and anybody that ever played for him or at any level. Sending blessings and heartfelt condolences to them as well. He's gonna surely be missed.
Yeah. Maxwell Brown, big Minnesota fan, in the comments section, he says, Minnesota will destroy West Virginia. Go Gophers. This is a tough matchup for West Virginia, and I'm going to go ahead and give my score prediction. I hate saying this. I'm just going by what I see from each team in the regular season, okay? West Virginia 17, Minnesota 27. I really hope that I'm wrong. I have trouble getting over the fact that Minnesota doesn't allow a lot of points. They're good against the run. We're down our best running back, and our offensive line hasn't been reliable. So I really hope I'm wrong. I hope Neil Brown makes the adjustments, goes against the trends, and Deggy tees off on Minnesota. I'll be the happiest Mountaineer on planet Earth if that happens. And also, thank you, Will Klein. He just re-upped his Blue membership for another 3 months, and he says, which is better, college football or NFL football? That's easy. College freaking football. All day long in my book. More passion, more pageantry. The fans are into it more. It's just more exciting, in my opinion. What's your take on that real quick?
No, I agree with you. I love college football. I watch the NFL, sparingly, to be honest with you. Of course, I watch the Buffalo Bills. My nephew's Deion Dawkins, the starting left tackle there, all pro. I love it. God bless him. So, of course, I watch them. I'm a big Cowboys fan. Everybody knows that. But to be honest with you, I watch college football whenever I can see it. I don't care who's playing. I don't have the same passion for the next level game as I do college sports. I love, any level of college football, especially if it's good football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I enjoy it, and that's what I love about your show so much, because you cover all of of it. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, of course, you're a West Virginia fan, but you cover the whole thing, and that's important. You know, just the love of the college game is important. So, yeah, I much prefer, college over the NFL.
I got you. Well, I'm going to let you go because I know you're going to head off over to Kuz's Corner. He's going to do a live pregame. Is there anything else you want to tell the people out there on YouTube land?
Listen, let's go Mountaineers. I'm going to double down on my score prediction. West Virginia 28, Minnesota 24.
I love it.
I believe we can bring this thing home. I know that Deggy's going to do what he needs to do and play within himself, play within the system, and I'm looking forward to Coach Brown basically proving a lot of people wrong, and he's going to change his tendencies, and we're going to show that tonight. Leading into a really good 2022 season is going to start tonight.
I love it. I love it. Well, buddy, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I look forward to you coming on the show again because I know you're coming back, and it's going to be a great show. I appreciate it, man.
You got it always, man. Thank you for having me. Stay blessed. Let's go Mountaineers.
Absolutely. Let's go Mountaineers. The amazing, fantastic Eugene Napoleon. Always a pleasure to have him on the live show. I know I'm getting a lot of flack for my score prediction. I'm a West Virginia fan, and I have Minnesota beating us 27-17. If we make the correct adjustments, and another thing that I failed to mention that we need to touch on real quick before I get off here is flipping the field. Minnesota is really good at flipping the field, and West Virginia is terrible at flipping the field. If we can buck that trend, we can change the game. That's the biggest thing I'm looking at is flipping the field because that's going to be huge in this game because there's not going to be very many points scored. So when you shorten your own field, that's another advantage that you're giving yourself. If we can do that, keys to the game before I get off here real quick. Number one, flipping the field. If we can do that and couple that with our offensive line giving Deggy some time and our running game being decent, doesn't have to be spectacular, amazing, fantastic, making Minnesota respect the running game. If we can do those three things, West Virginia will win the football game. I'm just not sure if we can do it, especially with Leddie Brown not lining up for West Virginia. So it's a tall task for West Virginia. Can we do it? Yes. Will we do it? We'll see. So, establish the running game. Offensive line, you got to give Jarrett Deggy time. And the last thing, flipping the field. Notice, what is one thing I didn't mention? Our defense. Why? We're good on defense. I trust our defense. But if Minnesota can run the ball, move the chains, chew up clock, and our defense is sucking wind by the third quarter, that's ball game. So I'm not worried about the defense. It's our offense. Do your job, and special teams, flip that field. And that's what I'm talking about. If we can do those three things, West Virginia will win. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. And if you want to check out another live show, go on over to Kuz's Corner. He's about to go live. He's going to have Eugene Napoleon on his show as well. Gracious Eugene Napoleon helps us out. I appreciate him. He's an awesome, amazing person. So if you want to jump on over to Kuz's Corner, he's going to go live, and I'll go over there with you. I thank everybody for the super chats this evening. That was amazing. The comment section, the thumbs up, everybody that showed up. Hey, just by showing up and commenting, you're supporting Golden Bluted, and I 100% appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm going to head off here. Y'all have a great evening. We're going to check out the Guaranteed Rate Ball here at 10:15. And as usual, let's go Mountaineers.